Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Juan's World, and as promised I'm going to show you how to make torrone, or nougat, or torrone as we say in Argentina, an exceptionally important treat for Christmas in Argentina and in Italy. And I can't get it here in Asia, so it's either make it or not have it. And I was not very successful last year. I do have a video here somewhere, but you shouldn't watch it because it was more or less of a failure. Whereas now I can say that this recipe is successful, and it's really a treat to do. So have at it. So the first thing that we can see is a prepared pan, which is lined with cling wrap, and then in the bottom there's some rice paper. And I've got about 250 grams of white marshmallows over here. Over here I've got about 50 grams of butter in a non-stick pan, and then over in my preparation place I've got about 50 grams of dried fruit. It could be crystallized fruit or anything of the same sort. This is just dried tropical fruit. And then in my oven I have about 50 grams of nuts, including pistachios, cashews and almonds. They're just roasting away a little bit at 200 degrees centigrade. And my last ingredient, which I almost forgot, about half a cup of milk powder. And this happens to be a vanilla flavored milk powder, but that's all I could get. It's very difficult here in Cambodia. Okay, first thing we're going to do is melt the butter on low heat. Everything's going to be on low heat at this point, and it should be a non-stick pan. And I'm very nervous this year because last year everything turned out brown, and it was okay. It took me a long time to eat it all, but it wasn't really classic nougat. Now this is not classic nougat either. This is chewy nougat. So I'm gonna do this time, and then we'll see how much time I've got, whether I can have a go at the classic brittle nougat. So this is just going to melt slowly. And then I'm going to add the marshmallows. So far so good. Kind of assuming that the nougat is really not much more than a block of marshmallow, but obviously the butter and the milk powder make a difference, and of course the nuts and fruit give it a different kind of texture and body. I'm going to go very, very, very slowly. I do not want anything to take on any color. So once the butter has completely melted, then you need to add all of the marshmallows. And apologize, I don't have a video at this point. I think I was a little bit too busy to turn the camera on or something. Anyway, add the marshmallows and over continuing low heat, start melting the marshmallows. Now they will melt fairly quickly, but you'll have to take a spatula to them and keep turning and turning and turning because they stick very easily even to a non-stick surface. And I mean, you'll know that they melt very easily if you've ever been to a camp where they put marshmallows on sticks and roast them. So continue doing this and you'll get to this stage at some point. All right, about halfway now. You can see maybe a little bit more. It's beginning to melt. Want to have a single body with everything liquid, none of the marshmallows at all lumpy. And I've got my heat on really low. I want to do this very, very carefully. At this point I'm going to add the milk powder. Just incorporate all of that. Not sure what its purpose is, maybe to add a little more body, not sure. Anyway, it's all beginning to do its own thing, and very clearly you need a non-stick pan for this. And the butter obviously does part of that job, but so it's beginning to look good. I may have a success on my hands. Not sure. It's beginning to work as a single piece. It's pretty much all melted. I'm just going to keep this up for a little while, and then I'm going to add the fruit and the nuts, and then turn it onto the prepared pan. In with the fruit, and I'm going to go get the nuts. By having the nuts heated, they don't cool down the mixture, and you can work them in. Mostly at this point the task is simply to combine everything into a nice homogenized mixture. And I don't have the heat on right now, although I'm going to probably put it back on again. I don't want anything to burn. I just want it all to combine nicely as it seems to be doing. Probably going to put the heat back on just for a tiny second, just to make sure that everything is still heating. That looks about perfect to me. My goodness, looks like nougat. Alright, now I'm going to turn it into my pan, and the main thing to do now is to press it down. I'm going to cover it again with some rice paper and some cling wrap, and I'll come back then. So what I have to do now is just spread it out evenly as I can, and then I'm going to cover with rice paper and with more cling wrap. So first the rice paper. You can see I can press it down. It's still pretty hot. Now I'm going to put in some layers of cling wrap, and then I'm going to press it down much more firmly. Now you can see I'm improvising, using a little jar to act as a roller. I just want to get it smoothed out. It's leaking a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to pop into the refrigerator for several hours. From here on I'm going to switch to stills because videos are not really necessary, and it's slightly cumbersome business, but not complicated, but stills are fine. I actually ended up leaving the torrone in the refrigerator overnight, just to make sure it was setting up properly, and then I pulled it out as you see here, and the cling wrap helps to be able to get it out of the pan easily. But the rice paper is also very important. If you just have cling wrap over the nougat, it tends to stick rather badly, and you'll have a problem getting it loose. But with the rice paper, it's very, very easy. So you just have to turn it out, and then with a very sharp knife, just cut into strips. And the cookbooks often suggest that you oil the knife slightly to make it easier because of the stickiness of the torrone. But I didn't do that, and it turned out fine, so it's up to you. You cut into strips, and then you cut the strips into smaller pieces as you wish. And you can wrap them if you want, although you will then again run the risk of the edges sticking. And in my case, I don't really need to do that because I don't have anyone to give it to, and also I want to keep it for myself anyway. So all I'm going to do is keep it in the refrigerator. If you keep it at room temperature, it's going to tend to get a little bit sticky again, but in the refrigerator it's fine, and then you can just numb it down as you wish. I will probably get this polished off in a day or so, I don't know, it all depends. And I wish you the best if you want to make it this way. I've decided not to do the eggs and honey approach, although I may later. I'm not sure, but this works out very, very well. I'm quite surprised. I thought that it would not be as good as with whipped egg whites and and overheated honey, but it's just fine. So we'll see. And Friday, I don't know what I'm going to do just yet, but I hope you have an excellent week.